Hi, this is Krista Walsh.
Hey, this is Daniel Arthur Smith.
Hey, this is Terry R. Hill.
Hey, it's Josh Hayes, and you're listening to
30-minute author interviews
with my friend Preston Lay.
Woohoo! Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of 30-Minute Author Interviews. There is a giveaway with this week's episode, but before I tell you about it, let me tell you about our two sponsors. First up is the Galactic Satori Chronicles by Nick Breaker and Paul E. Hicks. The Galactic Satori Chronicles. A thirst for revenge sends one man on a deadly journey through the galaxy in this adrenaline-pumping new series. Asher is a young man whose world is turned upside down when he discovers that his fiance's death has been directly caused by an imminent alien invasion. Projecting their consciousness into unsuspecting men and women, these aliens are learning exactly how to use humanity's own selfishness and greed as weapons against them. Asher bands together with a group of friends, and these four MIT co-eds are more than meets the eye and go to battle with those who are intent on destroying our planet. Out of the Gray by Patricia Gilliam. Aliens, politics, and murder. Only the first one is new. When an Earth-based terrorist group targets Hanaria's ambassador, two teenagers become entrapped in the conflict. Alex Vernon is the son of an Earth Independence Party representative and doesn't want to follow his father's path of political manipulation and corruption. Rika Miller is the adopted daughter of an engineer and nurse who later discovers she's not human but Hanarian. Alex must decide between his family loyalties and saving the life of an alien he's been taught to fear and hate, while Rika searches for the truth of what happened to her birth parents. The Galactic Satori Chronicles by Nick Breaker and Paul E. Hicks and Out of the Gray by Patricia Gilliam can both be found on Amazon, or just head on over to Leigendarium.com, check out the show notes for this episode, and in the show notes we will include a link where you can check out both of these books on Amazon and learn more about them and buy them if you would like to. And now for the giveaway that I was telling you about. This week our guest is author Derek Borne, and he is giving one person the chance to win a signed copy of The Ultimate Agent and also a personalized Ultimate Agent mug. What do you need to do in order to get registered? It's simple. Head on over to Leigendarium.com, find the show notes for this episode, and let us know in the show notes what was your favorite part of the episode. It's that simple. Now enjoy our interview with Derek Borne. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of 30-Minute Author Interviews. This week we are joined by author Derek Borne. Thank you for taking time out of your day and coming on 30-Minute Author Interviews. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem.
Been looking forward to it.
Yeah, I have too. I think your book's a very interesting concept, so I'm excited to talk to you more about it. Well, here we like to start out each episode with a segment that we call Two Truths and a Lie, where you tell me two truths and a lie about yourself, and I try, keyword, to guess which one is correct. I'm currently on a losing streak, so I'm hoping to turn that around with you. So if you
see.
yeah, we'll see. I'm not crossing my fingers. So if you could, can you tell me two truths and a lie about yourself?
All right. Well, I've experienced a few things in my life, so I was trying to narrow it down.
Okay.
But number one, I would say I was once offered a job as a singer on a European river cruise by the captain himself. Number two is while at a live comedy show, I became actually part of a sketch with Brian Regan, if you've heard of him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And number three was I was standing in a Best Buy wearing, I don't know if you know the TV show Chuck.
Yes.
With the Buy More. So he used to work at the Buy More. I own one of those green shirts. And I actually, while in the Best Buy, made some sales to people, even though I wasn't an employee.
That's great. Okay. So just for entertainment purposes, I really want number two and number three to be true. So I'm going to say the lie is the being offered a job to sing on a boat by the captain.
Oh, your streak continues.
Dang it. Which one?
I did not sell to employees in a Best Buy.
Dang. Well, which one? Okay, so that one. Okay. So you were offered a job on a boat by the captain.
I was, actually. Yeah, my grandfather took me out to Europe, and I went to the lounge the first night, and there was a piano player there. So I went up to him. I says, hey, do you mind if I sing with you? He goes, can you sing? I said, yeah, I like to sing. So we ended up actually doing some Beatles songs, and everyone just started dancing to the Beatles songs.
That's awesome. Why didn't you take a job to be on a boat singing?
You know what? I look at it this way, is as much as it would be exciting, being in Europe and that, I would miss my family and my friends too much.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And you really don't get too much vacation time from what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You only get like a month out of the year, not even sometimes.
Oh, okay. So it's like 7 days a week.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Did not
But
know
yeah, the
that.
captain, he came right up to me. He goes, you know what? You're one of the best singers I've heard in a long time. He says, how would you like a job singing? I said, you know what? As great as an offer as that is, I got to go back home.
And so you also got to be part of a skit with, you said Brian Regan?
Yeah, it was, I went to go see him with my parents and my wife, and he always does an encore at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you can shout out bits to him, and he'll do stuff that he's done back in the past. So he does his little bit on someone yelled out, "Do the all by myself." So he does, "Oh yeah, when you're a kid and you're all proud of what you do, and you're like, I did that all by myself." Cut to all by myself. So then I'm at the one side and I go, "Sing the whole song." He goes, "What was that?" I said, "Sing the whole song." He goes, I don't think he got the point of the joke there. He just goes, if someone was to come up to me and say, "Hey, Brian, when'd you start singing?" "Oh, I was in Hamilton. I was heckled, so I thought, hey, why not?"
Right.
So it's kind of nice to have that back and forth with him a little bit.
That's awesome. I've never been to a live stand-up event ever. I'll have to
Brian
change that
Regan's
sometime.
one of my favorites.
I've heard he's great. I've heard a few of his skits, but I've heard he's really good. So
He's good and he's clean. Like he knows how to, keep it clean for the family. So
right.
yeah.
Well, now that we know that you can sing, you've been offered a job on a boat. Why don't you give my listeners your little author bio on who you are and what you do?
All right. Well, for me, I do live in Canada, I live in a place that's called the prettiest little town in Ontario, and my wife makes jewelry. I have a pet bearded dragon named Ziggy, who's always giving me a look as if I'm an idiot. I've always been telling stories since a young age. I wrote the first book I've ever written, The Ultimate Agent, when I was 14. I kept it as a hobby until I finally published it back in May. I had to do a little bit of a rewrite before I eventually published it this time. And when I'm not writing, I'm selling olive oil and balsamic, top quality stuff. You'll most likely hear me belting out Phantom of the Opera. I play guitar. I play hockey, being Canadian.
Right.
And I do make references to TV shows and movies on a daily basis. And I'm always waiting for the next superhero movie to come out. So.
Yeah, there's some good ones that have come out lately.
Oh man, I saw the leaked footage for Avengers Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Oh really? I haven't seen it yet.
That is going to be intense.
Hopefully it's... Marvel's always done good with their movies. It's DC.
Oh, yeah.
DC you have to worry about. So
Yeah.
But I'm hoping Wonder Woman got DC on the right track now. So
Well, now there's been some issues with Ben Affleck. Apparently, he may be leaving Batman.
yeah, I've
For some
heard
reason.
that.
There's all these rumors floating around.
Yeah, I don't know. DC has some of the best heroes. I wish they could just figure out how to do TV or movies.
It's true.
So yeah. So you've been writing, you said, for as long as you can remember. Do you remember what interests you about writing? Like what what drew you into writing at such a young age?
I think for me, my mom really pushed my creativity. She bought me one of those little cassette tape recorders. Mm-hmm. So I was always just tell stories into it. And I used to, when I growing up, I loved Robert Munsch. He's a Canadian author who wrote a lot of kids' books. And I was like, always try to take his stories, tell it into the recorder, but my version, which was never as good or would be a little bit more outside the box, you could say, being a 5-year-old with, the imagination, and just kind of kept with it and then started writing. I would sometimes take a TV show or a movie and just write my own sequel to it. So used to save those on the old floppy disks.
Right. Do you have any of those tapes from when you would record your own stories?
My mom still has one, and I have yet to get my hands on it. I remember listening to it a few years ago, and it was ridiculous. I'm listening to myself, I'm going, wow, just wow.
You should somehow get it copied over onto from cassette to just put up
that
online.
Would be interesting.
Put it up online for people to listen to. That'd be awesome. This is me when I was 5.
Yeah. Although, you know what? My timing was impeccable.
Was it really?
I remember, just the storytelling timing. For some reason, I just knew how to play up the story. So
that is hilarious.
So hopefully, when I do my excerpt reading, I can channel that.
I'm sure you'll do great. Do you like audiobooks, and do you prefer audiobooks since you used to tell your own stories and record them?
I've never actually listened to one.
Really?
To be honest. Yeah, I've never had the desire, really. I prefer paper, for me. Yeah. It's just something about cracking open. I just bought Michael Crichton's newest book, Dragon Teeth, because I've always been a fan of him. And it's just something about holding it in your hands.
I always said that, I'll never get a Kindle. I want to hold the book. And then I got the Kindle.
Yeah.
And I download most of my books now, but I do have a nice collection of signed books from indie authors. I've gotten enough that I ended up having to get rid of, donate to the library, most of the published authors I had that weren't signed. I had a few signed books from published authors I kept. But I had to get rid of stuff when we moved, and I was just like, okay, I'm probably not going to read this again. Didn't even know that I had this. But yeah, there's something, I don't know, there's something about a book, just holding it, and yeah, there's just, I don't know.
It's true. Yeah, I actually, pretty much most of my collection is Michael Crichton. I've loved his style of writing. Some of the science of it kind of goes over my head, but for the most part, the science fiction and the thriller aspect of it all, I love. So.
Do you remember what age you were when you read your first Michael Crichton book?
Oh, I had to be about maybe 10. The first big book I ever read was Robinson Crusoe, and I was probably 7. And I don't know how I made it through that book, but I did.
So, do you remember what your first Michael Crichton book was that you read?
First one was Jurassic Park.
Oh, was it really? Did you read it before or after the movie?
After I saw the movie, after I saw the movie and I found the book, I devoured it, and I've read it more times than I've watched the actual movie.
Do you know what it is about his writing that just grabbed you?
I think it's his style of knowing how to kind of keep the reader going in the thriller aspect. And as much as he has the story moving and he adds the science to it, it's such a nice marriage of those styles.
Has his style of writing helped you in your writing style any?
I would say so. I mean, I've always tried to do really well with the action scenes, and I don't get obviously as bloody and gory as a dinosaur, eating someone. Right. But it just, yeah, trying trying to think of the best way to describe it, but he knows how to round out a character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I really appreciated, and I tried to do that as well with my characters.
Okay. So you said that you like writing your action scenes. We have had a few authors on here that have taken up some kind of martial arts or sword fighting, so that way they could incorporate that into their scenes and write more realistic scenes. Have you done anything like that, or do you have experience with any kind of martial arts or anything that have helped you with those scenes?
No, I've never taken any classes for anything. I find for me, like when you watch The Avengers and you see what Joss Whedon was able to do as a continuous shot of showing, Captain America and Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then as the camera keeps going, he doesn't stop the shot, and it goes to Thor and Hulk on top of, the alien monster, and just being able to show where everyone is really what I tried to do. I necessarily didn't write it out as a map or anything. I just kept it all in my head and would just try to let it flow naturally. I'm more of a pantser when it comes to writing. I write very much by the seat of my pants. I don't necessarily do a lot of planning, but I found, especially when I wrote The Ultimate Agent when I was 14, I just would keep writing, and all of a sudden something would come to my mind and be like, oh yeah, I can work that in here, and then that would connect to this. And but yeah, for action scenes, I tried to keep it as simple as possible, because you don't want to get the reader lost in it.
Right.
Because this is very much a team up book. Like, it's not just first person. It's a omnipresent type book, so you're kind of in everyone's head. Okay. Very much like if you were to watch the X-Men. There's a lot of different characters that all have their own journey. Mm-hmm. So The Ultimate Agent kind of has that vibe as well.
Okay. And so you said book one's called The Ultimate Agent. It's the UA book one. Yeah. How many books do you see being in that series?
So I already have number 2 and 3 written.
Oh, okay.
So I'm currently halfway through rewriting book number 2, because what I've been doing is upgrading it from 14-year-old Derek to 28-year-old Derek. So the bones were there, but once I saw, that I could publish through Amazon, I took another look at it, and I just started reading through it and saying, why the heck did I write this way? People don't fall in love in a day. The hero doesn't always win. So I had to change a few things, make it a bit more mature. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, book number 2 is in the rewrite stage. And then once I'm done that, I go on to book number 3. I have book number 4 halfway written, but I'm contemplating whether to actually stop at 3 and just retire. I don't know. We'll see what happens in life, because life just keeps getting busier. But
right. Do you have a title for book 2?
It'll just be kind of like Iron Man, Iron Man 1, 2, 3. So it'll be The Ultimate Agent 1, 2, 3. Okay. So just kind of keep it simple.
Can you give my listeners the book blurb on what The Ultimate Agent is? The non-spoiler, of course, book blurb on what The Ultimate Agent is about.
Yeah, so it's basically a superhero spy novel where there's an organization in the U.S. that is a spy organization that can actually give people abilities and powers. And the reason being because the other side, the bad guys, is a underground Russian organization that is able to do the same thing. So it's almost like an arms race of who can accumulate more powers to outdo the other. And I didn't even think of it until I saw one reviewer put a review up, and he says it's pretty much James Bond meets superpowers, and Q goes into the field to help him. Which is a perfect description, because you have the character of Devin, who only has superpowers, and then there's Brett, who is the brilliant scientist who has spy gadgets like a cloaking machine. He has like a teleporter and all these different things. So it's two sci-fi genres just melded right together.
What inspired you at age 14 to write this novel?
I remember staying up late with a friend. We were talking on MSN at the time, which no longer exists.
Right.
And we just started talking about, it was right around the time when, or close to the time when Iron Man came out. And we said, wouldn't it be cool if there was a spy that had superpowers, or a superhero who was a spy? And then it just kind of, started from there. And I did a lot of research on the Marvel and DC Wikipedias to make sure I wouldn't, rip anything off. And just kind of, went with it after that.
So you're, I don't know if this is considered a spoiler, so if it is, you can just tell me and we'll move on. So your characters they're not born with these superpowers, they're given the superpowers? Pretty much, yeah. Okay. Almost in the same way as, say, when Captain America got his powers, sort of idea. But instead of only having one superpower, you can have multiple superpowers. But then a question gets asked of how many superpowers can the human body actually handle. Okay. And I'm assuming that's answered somewhere in the series then, huh? Yes. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So if you could have multiple superpowers, which superpowers would you want to have?
Oh, I've been asked this question so many times. It's hard to pick, honestly. I mean, sometimes you feel like cheating and just say, I would love to have the power that, what was it, one of the Petrelli guys had in Heroes, where he could take anyone's power.
There we go.
So that's kind of cheating, though.
Yeah, but we'll take it. It's a power to have all powers.
Ultimately, I think I would love to have teleportation.
That would be nice.
'Cause I love to travel. I've been to Italy. We were talking earlier, and just, I've been out Western Canada, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Traveling is in my blood, so it would be nice.
So the superhero genre to me has always been, it seems like, either movies or graphic novels. There's not too many novels about superheroes. There's a few. Have you had a hard time trying to find how to even label this for genre-wise in Amazon, or for grabbing an audience?
I've kept it young adult because I don't have any sex, I don't have any swearing. I'd rather that everybody be able to read it and not be offended. I appreciate the following that I've been getting on Facebook with fans. I just released the ability to get a signed copy, and I've already sold, since Monday, 5 or 6 copies.
Okay.
So it's been decent, and although my following is small, I do really appreciate the fans. Honestly, I would be nothing without them. And I recently did a free day on Amazon to buy my book on ebook for free, and I sold almost 200 copies.
Oh, nice.
In that day. So as much as I'm not getting anything from it, I'm getting the exposure, which I hope will end up helping in the long run. So
yeah, definitely.
And now that I work retail, I don't have a lot of time to really write and do the advertising and marketing. Mm-hmm. But I have a few friends on Facebook that are kind of like my little family now, and they've just been awesome getting my name out there and keeping my page, people involved and things like that. And I'd be lost without them. So
yeah, that's one thing I really love about the indie community is they're all so helpful. Most authors are willing to sit down and talk to you and give you advice on
exactly
how they've done it, and people are just willing to help. So yeah, that's one thing I absolutely love about the indie community.
When I first came into this, the first group I ever joined was Band of Dystopian Authors.
Oh, nice. I love that group.
And Sarah Nofke was the first person who really just gave of her time and showed me how to do things and, how to build your fan base and how to get editing programs for your computer, what to look for. She read over some of my chapters, gave me pointers. And then there was Molly Phipps, who ended up doing my cover for Ultimate Agent, which she's phenomenal to work with.
She nailed it, too.
Oh, I know. First thing she said, too, when I officially showed it on Facebook, when I did my unboxing for the first time with the paperback, she goes, "Man, the print came out so nice." I said, "Yeah, you did an awesome job. Pat yourself on the back."
Yeah. Yeah, I love... But Band of Dystopian is one of the best groups I've been in on Facebook. I've been in that group for a couple years now, and I guess I must disclose that I am one of their team members now. So,
there you go.
But yeah, it's such a great group to be a part of. They're all so very awesome and helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have an excerpt from your book that you can read so people can kind of hear what the story sounds like?
I would love to, and I think I will start from the beginning.
Okay.
So chapter 1 is titled Lost and Found, and it starts off like this. "Hit me," said the man sitting at the blackjack table, swallowing in eager anticipation of the next draw. While checking his watch, he waved over the cute little waitress in a black vest and white fringed skirt from where she hovered by the wall. Arriving at the table, she leaned in at his side, which made strands of her blonde hair dangle. "What can I get for you?" "Amaretto on the rocks, please." He reached into his back pocket and pulled out a 20 from his wallet while giving her a crooked, boyish grin. "Keep the change, beautiful." "Thank you very much, sir." Devin Bertrand grinned. A man had to love Las Vegas. The bustling city invited escapism for all those who sought it. The cards offered adrenaline, and the alcohol provided courage and amnesia in equal measure. A case half full of winnings within arm's reach, a pretty lady at his beck and call, and all the drinks he could want, and the evening had only begun. Without any cares or worries, he drained the last half-inch of liquid. Devin set the glass down on the table, savoring the smooth flavor as it burned its way down his throat. Calm fingers ran through his espresso-colored hair, and he focused his intimidating hazel eyes on the other players at the table. The solid muscle behind his gray, pinstripe suit marked him as a man in charge. "You're up," said a burly contender in black. "What's it gonna be?" 6 months ago. Born and raised in Canada, Devin had been out of high school for a couple years now. The dream of traveling the world had always been on his mind since a young age. Out of everywhere he'd been, he hoped Washington, D.C. would be his most memorable adventure. After touring the White House, he stopped to appreciate the Lincoln Memorial statue. The Arlington Bridge, which stood nearby, served as a good resting spot. Perched on the concrete railing of the bridge, Devin had been lulled into a thoughtful, peaceful state by the water below his dangling feet. A tourist duffel bag slipped and bashed into Devin's side, almost knocking him off the edge. "Hey, careful, man." The man tucked the duffel bag closer to his body and realized what he'd done. "Oh, sorry about that." "It's okay. Just watch where you're swinging that thing," Devin warned, trying to be kind about the situation. Then a thought crossed his mind, and he pulled out his camera. "Hey, I know this is kind of random, but would you mind taking a picture of me here?" "Yeah, sure thing," the man answered. "Awesome, thank you." Devin handed the camera over and smiled for the picture. Once he received his camera, he stashed it in his jacket pocket. "Thanks. I'm Devin, by the way. What's your name?" It's Brett," the blonde man said as they shook hands. His cool blue eyes, coupled with his smile, conveyed a sense of wonder and adventure. Close to the same height as Devin, he had a bit more of a slender physique. "Nice to meet you, Brett. What brings you to Washington?" Devin's social side took over. Brett hugged the duffel bag closer to his body. "Just one of the places on my bucket list. Yourself?" "Pretty much the same. I just love to travel. I'm thinking maybe Italy next, or wherever the winds take me." Yes, I'm kind of going by the same philosophy." Brett cocked his eyebrow for a split second. Glancing to the left, He caught sight of 8 men casually approaching the opposite end of the bridge, all dressed in suits. "We got him spotted," one of the men said into his watch with a discreet scratch of his sideburn. His earpiece blended in with his ear, barely visible to the public eye. "Don't make a scene," the man on the other end cautioned. "I'm counting on you." "We'll get him, don't worry." The suited man led his group onto the Arlington Bridge. Their pace quickened as they headed toward the target. Brett was their mission. "Hey, I've got an idea," Brett suggested with a gentle grasp of Devon's arm. "Wanna spend the day together? We could be each other's photographer." Maybe? Hesitant, Devon noticed the guy he'd just met seemed spooked. When he glanced in the direction Brett had, Devon saw the suspicious group of suits. That doesn't seem good. His eyes bounced back to the man standing before him. Who is this guy? Great. I even know of an authentic Chinese restaurant for lunch. That is, if you haven't eaten, Brett proposed with a charming grin. I guarantee you dumplings that will change your life. What do you say? Devon had no idea of how to respond, but something about the man intrigued him. Is he being genuine? Or is he in trouble and needs help? In the matter of seconds, he said, Sure, I get. Fantastic! Brett flashed his winning smile once more. As he led his new friend away from the bridge, his duffel bag bounced off his side. In a somewhat hurried stroll with Brett, Devon had no idea where his newfound friend was taking him, or why he even asked him to tag along. He wondered if he might be able to get some sort of answer. Everything all right? Fine. Brett sounded rushed, almost agitated. I'm fine. Keep up, bud. Okay. Brett's brisk walk progressed into an even faster pace. He turned his head, catching sight of the men in suits still following behind them, stalking them. Brett guided Devon by the arm over to a parked double-decker tour bus. He's behind the bus! The man directing the group broke into a run as their target boarded. The tourist vehicle merged onto the main street. We've lost him, sir, the leader reported to his superior, slowing to a stop to catch his breath. He boarded a bus without a civilian. I'm guessing that he's befriended. He cleared his throat, followed by a deep breath. Haven't ID'd the civilian. I'll get Agent Phipps to pull up the tour schedule. Follow them. The suited man tugged on the cuff of his shirt, starting to doubt if their mission would be successful. Bring the cars up, boys. Let's get them. There we go.
So you said earlier that the book is told in an omnipresent point of view, where you kind of see it from all the different characters in your book. Was that a hard style to write, since most authors normally do, first person, second person, third person?
I think for me, because I've read a lot of Michael Crichton, he doesn't really do a lot of first person. So because I was so used to reading his style, that's kind of the style that I picked up. I prefer actually being able to see what everyone's thinking, just because, as much as you can have a main character who is, the focus of the book, I like being able to see everybody's journey. Mm-hmm. Everyone deals with things differently, so it's kind of neat to see how everyone would react to a certain situation.
Do you have one character that you enjoy writing their point of view the most? And if so, have we met them yet in book one?
It's hard to choose, honestly, because for me, I'm an only child. I've never had, a brother or anything like that. But when I write Devon and Brett, basically writing them was my idea of what it would be like to have a brother.
Okay.
So it kind of, later on in the book, you get to see more of their relationship and how they've really come to be good friends, but they still have their issues between them like brothers would have. And I've had so many people say, whether in reviews or in person, that they say, we love the relationship that they have, just because it's so true to what siblings would be like.
Gotcha. Now, one of the characters you just mentioned there was Agent Phipps.
Yep.
Did you name that after Molly Phipps, since she helped in the Band of Dystopian?
That's classified.
It's classic.
No, it's definitely after Molly Phipps. No,
Okay.
she's been such an awesome help, and it's fun to have a spy organization because it also gives you the ability to kind of flesh it out a bit. So to have someone like, say, Agent Phipps or Agent Nofke, which there may or may not be an Agent Nofke. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So it's kind of nice, for the author community and for those who know those authors to kind of start reading and be like, hey, I know that name.
That's awesome. I would have had no idea that Agent Phipps was after Molly, and until I realized she did your cover. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder. That's awesome. Yeah,
it was funny actually because talking to Molly the one day, she goes, "Can you make me a villain?" She's, "I really want to be a villain." I said, "Well, maybe I could try it, see what happens."
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I love how you do the classified information and stuff like that on the Facebook group that you created for the series as well.
It's fun. I love doing it.
Yeah, I like seeing that kind of stuff. It's definitely fun. You don't see a lot of authors
because it's part of the branding, right?
Yeah, you don't get to see a lot of superhero and stuff like that kind of novels out there, so it's kind of fun that you can throw that in there with it. It's definitely fun.
No,
to see.
I like it. I get to kind of work on my acting skills as well, as you probably saw the one video of me hiding in my closet.
I haven't seen that one yet. I'll have to go.
No, you haven't seen that one yet?
No.
I was trying to pretend because I had my olive oil store shirt on, so I was kind of doing this little acting thing where I pretended like I was being followed, and the start of the video is where I slammed my closet door closed. My wife had no idea what I was doing. So she's over in the living room, and after I was done my 10-15 minute video, I come out and she goes, "What were you doing in the closet?"
That is hilarious. You're like, it's classified. I can't tell you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's too funny. Well, here at 30-minute author interviews and at the Leigendarium, we're kind of famous for one question, and that question is, a penguin walks through the door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say, and why is he here?
All right, so I gave this one a little bit of thought. And first of all, the penguin's name is Ralph.
Oh, okay.
And he walks in saying, I was tired of being surrounded by ice all the time, so I figured I'd live in Mexico, and I'm only up for a couple days. And, really, the only ice I want to see from now on is in my margaritas. So, you got any tequila?
There we go. And then before we leave, do you have any advice, whether it be for writing or for life, that you would like to share with the listeners?
Honestly, ultimately, I would just say it's a line in my book, and it's something that I love to live by, is just if you have the ability to help someone, you do it, no matter what sacrifice. I mean, if you see someone that needs a couple bucks, give them a couple bucks. We all fall on hard times, and as much as, something can happen to us and we wish people understood and we wish that we could get help in some way, if you've experienced that and you see someone else that's suffering, give them a hand.
There we go. I think that's some good advice. And where can our listeners go if they'd like to learn more about you and the books that you've written?
You can find me on Amazon. My personal website is www.derekborne.weebly.com. And you can even find I have a fan gallery on there for all those who've bought my book or even have some of my swag, because I appreciate the fans so much. I'd be nothing without them. So you can check out all those that have supported me along the way.
That's awesome that you do that. We'll put links to everything over at Leigendarium.com in the show notes for those that might just want to go straight to the website. He spells his name Derek, and then Borne is Borne.
Yeah, don't mix that up with the U, because my nickname in high school was the Borne Identity. So
that's hilarious. Like I said, we'll put links for everything over in the show notes at Leigendarium.com. But thank you for coming on and doing 30-minute author interviews. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
That is all the time that we have for this week's episode of 30-Minute Author Interviews. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you tune in next Wednesday and every Wednesday for another great author interview. Don't forget to head on over to Leigendarium.com and check out the show notes for this episode. In the show notes, you're going to find the giveaway where Derek Borne is giving one person the chance to win a signed copy of The Ultimate Agent, as well as a personalized mug. And in the show notes, you'll also find the link to our sponsors, The Galactic Story Chronicles by Nick Breaker and Paul E. Hicks, and also Out of the Gray by Patricia Gilliam. Check them out and let them know that you heard about them right here on 30-Minute Author Interviews. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss another episode. You can find 30-Minute Author Interviews wherever you like to listen to podcasts. I would also like to thank a few of our Patreon supporters. I would like to thank Third Scribe, Maggie Stewart Grant, and Nick Breaker. They're supporting 30-Minute Author Interviews through Patreon. They are also receiving the Patreon-only podcast 10 Questions With. Visit patreon.com/legendarium and find out how you can support 30-Minute Author Interviews for as little as $1 a month. Until next time, stay legendary.